Hi, everyone. It's Elisa Gallagher, and this is There's More to Our Story. Welcome back. I want to kick off this episode with a little inspiration by reading a quote. And the quote is, "And ladies, don't let anybody tell you are ever past your prime. Never give up." Those words were spoken by the incomparable and now Academy Award winner, Michelle Yeoh, as she accepted the Oscar for Actress in a Leading Role this past weekend. I was watching the telecast with friends, and I don't know about you, but I literally yelled and cheered when she uttered those words. So, to Michelle Yeoh, congratulations on your historic win, and thank you for those wise words, for the reminder, and yes, for the directive. I'm so excited about this episode with my return guest, Paula Toker, as we actually discussed the now Oscar-winning film, Everything Everywhere All at Once. We recorded this episode just before the Academy Awards telecast took place, and we share our thoughts about what was then just the Oscar-nominated film. We talk about the story, the now Oscar-winning writer-director team of Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert, also known as Daniels. We discuss its amazing award-winning cast, which include Academy Award-nominated Stephanie Hsu and Academy Award winner Ke Huy Quan. And we talk about how we felt watching the now Academy Award-winning performances from Hollywood legends Jamie Lee Curtis and Michelle Yeoh, who don't simply dispel the myth that women lose their value as they age. Yeah, they pretty much blow up that idea entirely. Congratulations to all the winners and nominees this past award season, and a big shout out to the Daniels for seeing beyond that mythology and for writing a film that celebrates the complexity of women as they age, and for casting these two very talented women who are still very much in their prime. Before we jump into the episode, let me tell you again about my guest, Paula Toker. Paula is a visual thinker. She dreams in color and thrives when brainstorming a simplified way to explain a complex issue. With more than 27 years of experience in Silicon Valley at both Cisco and Apple, she has honed her skills into her one true passion as a right-brain thinker. She works as the Reimagine Applications Content and Messaging Campaign Lead at Cisco, and she currently lives in Santa Cruz, California with her twin sons. Welcome back, Paula Toker.
Thank you for having me.
It's great for you to be back. I'm so glad you were able to come back and talk about this film. What's new? It's been several months since we last spoke, so anything you want to just update the listeners on? Give me the latest.
I'm still at Cisco, doing really well at Cisco and enjoying my job. My boys and I did move to Santa Cruz from San Jose back in November.
How
so
cool.
We are loving life. Yes, we're loving life on the other side of the hill. Yeah, things are great.
That's so November. So you haven't really got into the whole beach community yet because it's winter.
Not yet. Yeah, I've noticed that all of my friends are heading to Tahoe and not coming this way. But I know that, the first really warm week, everybody will start traveling this way. Yeah.
Yes, myself included, right? I'll be like, all right,
Yes,
Santa Cruz, let's go. Okay, so you know what we're talking about, and you'd already seen it. We both kind of rewatched it again before we decided to record. So
yes,
the first question I asked when we did, when I had people speak about Good Luck to You, Leo Grande, was in one word, tell me what word comes to mind. If you could have one word, what word would come to mind when you thought about this movie? Go.
Awesome. That's kind of a lame one. Let me think. Inspiring that's 2 words.
Yeah. No, awesome is a good word. I mean, that's your first instinct. I would think, I think the first word that came to mind was wild,
Yeah.
But I just,
insane.
oh my gosh, but just It is so innovative. It's so amazing. And for just to remind everybody about the film Everything Everywhere All at Once was written and directed by a team of co-directors called Daniel Kwan, Daniel Scheinert. It stars the most amazing lead actress, Michelle Yeoh, Jamie Lee Curtis, Ke Huy Quan, Stephanie Sue, and James Hong. And what a cast, what an amazing film. So I figured I probably should have said that at the beginning, but let's at least tell everybody about the film itself. Anyway, so if you were to just sort of summarize just in general, just give me your initial thoughts, not one word. You can use a few sentences this time.
I have to say, the first time I watched it, I just could not stop paying attention to the visuals. The visual concept. I did lose a little bit what the movie was about because of that. So when I did watch it again, it's like I paid more attention to the dialogue and the dialogue and the scripting and everything, and it brought it all together because the visuals were just so amazing. And the acting, I couldn't stop cracking up at how strange Jamie Lee Curtis was. I mean, she was so strange. And I couldn't let go of that for a little bit, but the visuals and everything were just really overwhelming the first time, but overwhelming good. It was like, whoa, it's like I couldn't stop watching it, but I noticed that I wasn't following the story as closely as I should have. But the second watch, I was like, I was in it. I was completely there. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome. Well, and the reason I wanted to talk about this film in particular, and as I mentioned in my the solo episode, this was something I wanted to talk about several months ago, but I had that extended hiatus, so I didn't get a chance to do it while it was before it was, Oscar nominated and everything and winning all these awards.
Right.
Now I was so excited about this film. It was because of the star of the film, Michelle Yeoh. Now, the theme of the podcast, there's more to our story. There would have been a time when this film would not have been made with Michelle Yeoh. Well, ironically, the original story was not written for Michelle Yeoh. It was originally written with Jackie Chan in mind.
Right.
And they reworked it. And, I don't know the whole backstory, how they recognized the story should be about the mom. But, Michelle Yeoh just turned 60. Jamie Lee Curtis, 64. There was a time when an action movie with an action hero having a 60-year-old woman, she was probably late 50s when they shot it, as the main lead, just would not have been done. And I'm excited from the point of view that the two Daniels, the writer and director, young filmmakers, were able to get out of that paradigm for themselves, because that is that's an exciting trend, because they're starting to change. There has been sort of this paradigm shift that isn't, they're not as hung up on it for some reason. We're sort of older
it's about
filmmakers.
Time.
It's about time. Yeah.
It's about time.
Right?
No, not to digress from this conversation or anything, but my boys and I, we watch a lot of movies together. We spend our, Friday or Saturday night, watching movies and stuff. And so I'm totally into the Marvel universe. I'm totally into the DC universe, all that stuff. But the powerful women that are showing up in these films now are just, I feel power. The strength is, you kind of absorb that strength. I just watched The Woman King.
Oh,
and then
that's going to be another whole episode.
Let me tell you, Black Panther, and then
Wakanda Forever. Yep.
Wakanda Forever. and like Wonder Woman and all this stuff, just these really strong female characters that are coming out is like, I can't remember which movie I was watching, but I was like, at the end, I was like, yes. And my boys are like, what? And I'm like, no, you don't get it. The power of the woman, blah, blah, blah. And they were just laughing at me and they're like, Mom, you're so cringy.
Well, the other amazing trend is the leads in these powerful characters are not in their 30s. They're finally
No.
recognizing every female driven piece does not have to be a woman in their 30s. They, these women who are leading and carrying these films on their back and are giving opportunities finally to show what they're capable of doing, and they're at the top of their game.
And it's about time,
right? They didn't lose value as they aged. They got better at their skill and their performances and their craft as they aged, just as the men have done. But historically, they just don't write them with the female protagonist as the lead, who is, God forbid, over 40. So what the trend is happening is kind of exciting. And when Everything Everywhere All at Once, this was the first film Michelle Yeoh was the top of the call sheet in her entire career. And she's had, what, a 35 year career. Everybody knows her, but she's always been second to the male. And thankfully, the Daniels recognized she could carry this film. This story is far more powerful from the mother-daughter perspective, which is, this powerful story. It's it can very easily get lost as this wild thing, but the heart of it is a family and this woman's journey who is struggling with, what every woman does when they get to a certain age. Did I do it right? I'm struggling, and she's a perfect reflection of what so many women her age are dealing with. Adults, children, their children are no longer little, maybe coming into their own, dealing with that issue. At the same time, you oftentimes caring for an elderly parent.
Yes.
In the meantime, probably still working and having careers. So all of this is the reality of most women. And at least they recognize that is an interesting story to explore. This is a complex character. This is a complex life. And
yes, and a mother's guilt is real. I don't care how good a mother you are. I don't care. I mean, it's there no matter what. I mean, you can have had the best day possible, but you will go to bed that night and there is something that will just nag at you, like, I could have done this better, or I could have done that better. And it's like, they don't know it. Your kids don't know it, but you do. And you sit there and you brew on it and it's ridiculous. But I don't know if it's just an innate sense about us, as moms, that we have to, that whole perfect mom thing. It's not real. That part is not real. But we try to achieve it. But the guilt and the connection, I'm the mother of boys. So my connection to my sons is different than if I had a girl. But I do remember my connection with my mom. And I remember her saying to me one day, we got into a fight about something. I don't know. I was like 16 or 17. And she's like, it was almost like a curse. She goes, I hope you have a daughter just like you. And when I got pregnant with my twin boys and I knew that they were boys, I'm like, ha ha, I'm not having a girl, It's like, I don't have to deal with that. But, boys bring a different, it's just a different, but a mom is a mom,
Oh,
and
yeah. And there's
that really tugged at my heart. The daughter's feeling of not being enough and the mother's feeling of trying to help her daughter, but everything that came out of her mouth was wrong, it's hard. It's hard. And then I think back, I think about the fact that I was raised by my parents and thinking that, oh God, they're so cringy and all this stuff. And now I'm doing the same exact thing that my parents did to my kids.
Yeah.
And I hear my parents coming out of my mouth, I hear their voices coming out of my mouth and I'm like, oh my God.
Right. Well, and I love that complexity, especially from the character that Michelle, she was navigating being the daughter and doing exactly what you just saw, recognizing, oh my God, all my frustrations that I have with my father, I'm repeating because she's now in that role. So she's gets the film really has this beautiful surprising view of these generational complexities and how some of it's just human and get passed on and repeat, and some of them can stop, and how do you stop them? But it's kind of a funny story. Like you said, you're in the multiverse and you're trying to just figure out what the hell's happening for at the first time you're on this wild ride. And I absolutely loved it. But when you actually start realizing what's going on, you're like, oh, this is just this story of this family and all of these human things that this woman goes through. And she was so relatable at that point, and it could easily get missed. But it was the reason I think it did so well is because it did have this heart at its core. Because I think if it was just a crazy wild thing with no cord that was pulling you in, it would have gotten lost.
It would have gotten lost. And, I kept thinking about, she kept referring to her daughter as my joy, not our joy, to include her husband. It was my joy. And, how she was trying to figure out what she could do for her daughter. Recognizing that there was something going on, but she was so buried in all this other stuff. It's not like she put her daughter to the side. It was kind of, I don't know what to do yet. But then at the end, when her daughter's being sucked in to the bagel, the everything
which is
bagel,
awesome.
I thought that was hilarious. When she's being sucked in, it's like she was throwing herself at her, like, you're not going without me. Her rock. She threw herself as the rock after her daughter and stuff like that. But her father didn't do that for her until the very end when he saw her doing it for her daughter.
And then,
then he reacted.
Grabbed, and then they grabbed her, and then the husband grabbed.
Exactly.
And it was a family.
Then it was they came together.
Yeah.
For the one thing, but it's like she was going to give up everything to be with her daughter, to save her daughter. And it took so long for her father to do that for her. I thought that was amazing.
Yeah. And then the husband too, the dad was right there holding on too at the,
And he was really struggling. I mean, he was really struggling as the husband, trying to make her happy, but not being able to, and trying to figure out, what can I do to make her happy? And, nothing was making her happy because she wasn't happy with herself.
Exactly. That was it. She was, yeah, which of course, that's the other sort of subtle, not so subtle story in there. It starts with, you have to go within first and see yourself to see everything else,
And we all do that.
Oh, absolutely.
We all do that to ourselves. We are our own worst critic. We talk to ourselves. I've said this to you before. I say things to myself that I would never say to anybody else. Oh, and it's like, why do
all
we do
the time? That? I don't know, but it was kind of beautiful to see so much of that reflected and how much I could relate to it. But I got to tell you, when I was so excited to see, because of the casting choice. I'm a, we've all watched Michelle Yeoh forever. And I'm a huge Jamie Lee Curtis fan. And so let's talk a little bit about Jamie Lee. Oh my God. Again, hello, Hollywood.
She
is
amazing.
She's 64, which is the other thing that I loved about this. that is lost somehow, that they're losing their values. So they're action heroes. They're in fight choreography. They're flying through the air. She's 60, Michelle Yeoh, and they were jumping in and doing it. They were physically able. They
Yeah.
were doing all
Yeah.
of these things that is not even considered, oh, that wouldn't happen. And I'm like, and what's hilarious, some of the interviews that I've been watching, is a lot of young people love it and get it. And they were saying some of the older viewers don't understand it at all and don't get it, which I didn't. That has not been my experience with my friends. I have a lot of friends my age who we've all watched it and fell in love with it. You watched it and fell in love with it. So it's not everybody's, but there are some people that are kind of lost in it. But young people love it, and they don't see her as being old. They see her as being cool.
Yeah, totally. I mean, she is cool. She's doing all those stunts while she has saggy boobs, this big poochy stomach, and all of that's fake, obviously.
Yeah.
And the worst wardrobe I've ever seen on anyone.
Was it not the most
and the
hilarious?
worst haircut. I mean, she was like, there was not anything that they didn't miss. The socks with the horrible shoes, and then the pants that were too short, and this like mock turtleneck that didn't fit right, and that god awful vest. But then she even had the brace, like the carpal tunnel brace on, and I'm like, oh my God.
I mean, it was fabulous. But then when she all of a sudden, the whole multiverse thing starts, and she's literally flying through the air and
kicking ass.
Oh my God. You're just like, what is happening? But you just recognized, you knew. I kept thinking, from being my production background, oh my God, how much fun she must have been having doing that.
Oh, it must have been hilarious to be like jumping off of those bags and doing all that. I mean, that must have been,
she was all in. She was like, I'm giving it my all and I'm going for it. And she's rarely, she was cast this way 30 years ago, but she's not typically being offered this now. So
yeah,
I was so excited when I first wanted to see it. Like I said, oh, Michelle Yeoh, this is going to be a fun one. The casting, Jamie Lee Curtis, the two of them together, this will be a great thing to talk about. But now, of course, the world has found it. The world has discovered it.
Yeah.
And it's getting recognized as this amazing achievement. The performances are getting recognized. The women are getting recognized. The writers are getting I mean, even Ke Huy Quan came back from a career after 40 years or whatever, 30 years. And he's 50. And again, what I love about it, in many ways, not just in terms of women's roles, but also just the importance of recognizing, when I say there's more to our story, yes, the thematically I'm talking about women's roles, but the importance of recognizing broader lenses, broader storytelling, different points of view, different writers. It just it opens up the viewer's imagination and awareness.
Exactly. The thing that blew my mind is I went in the first time watching this movie, I went in without expectation. I had heard that it's a wild ride.
That's all I heard
but
too.
I didn't pay attention really to the cast. I mean, of course I knew who they were, except for say his name again, the
Ke Huy Quan.
Yes. So when I'm sitting there watching it, I'm watching it and I'm like, oh my God. And I said, that's the kid from the Goonies, and I said, he's from Indiana Jones. And my boys are looking at me and they're like, what? And I'm like, remember the kid in Goonies? And they're like, oh my God, that's him. And I'm like, yeah, just listen to his voice. Yeah. Just look at his mannerisms, And then we all know Jamie Lee, but I'm like, do you guys know who Jamie Lee Curtis is? I'm like, she's the one that was the original in Halloween, And I said she was in True Lies and stuff. And they're like, oh my God. It's like they didn't recognize her because of the horrible makeup and costume. And then Michelle Yeoh, I said, do you know who she is? And they're like, she looks familiar. And I said, that's Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Uh-huh.
And they're like, oh my God, but I didn't recognize her from Crazy Rich
Asians.
Asians. I didn't recognize her in that
Yeah.
until somebody said that's the same lady, and I'm like, oh my God.
Right.
It's I didn't put it together.
Right.
But
Well, so which is a testament to how good an actress she really is, and
exactly.
how the point of view that everybody had of her was just a martial arts, performer, but she was always this skilled actress, and she got a little bit of that in Crazy Rich Asians from an acting point of view. She wasn't in her thing. But, I've listened to some interviews. She got really emotional when she talks about it, because she said it was the first time that somebody gave her the opportunity to show what she's capable of doing, because there weren't when she was at that younger age, when the ingenues, there weren't any scripts for women that look like her. They just weren't.
Right. No, exactly. And I've watched all the award shows, and them getting up there and crying and just being in so much shock. It makes me sit here and cry, because I'm like, to win such a prestigious award
Mm-hmm.
is amazing. They're taking all of them right now. I mean, that's just amazing. But when they get up there and they're like, you're finally seeing me, there was finally a forum for me to show you what I can do. And it's like, that's sad,
Yeah.
But several years ago, it was the Black actresses.
Mm-hmm.
I just saw a clip of Halle Berry, and I forgot how much she cried when she accepted for Monsters Ball.
Right.
I totally forgot how she was just so shaken up. And she's like, it means you see me. And I'm like, oh my God, it's so true. It's so true.
Right. And that's why it's so important in terms of expanding the storytellers, and recognizing not just, the more diverse this people in the writing room are.
Yes.
And that goes from, male, female, but all ages. I mean, it matters, because it's hard to expand the storytelling if it's basically one or two lenses from which they're writing and telling the story. They just their paradigm and their view of those is not a lived experience, right? It's they're writing what they perceive as the lived experience.
Well, like you said, the Daniels went back and rewrote it from the perspective of the mom.
Mm-hmm.
But they also realized when they were reading their first script that the mom was very harsh towards her daughter being a lesbian. And so they softened that up too.
Oh, that's interesting.
And they made it, they softened it up because, well, not because I even know, but they realized that if they were, I guess what they realized is if they were going to make a likable character that you would follow, that she had to love her daughter no matter what,
Oh, yeah.
and that's, that's what moms do. I've said it to my boys. I don't care. I just love you, no matter what.
Right.
There's nothing that's going to make me not love you. And that's how it, that's how she came through at the end, was like, I don't care. I'm going with you,
Yeah. So I don't know. I was so excited. And, the trends that we're seeing in terms of award season, which again, very exciting, thinking of the broad awareness of women who are at the top of their game and getting recognized for it is going to open up opportunities for so many others who were all at the top of their game, because the whole the assumption was it's if a woman made film makes a lot of money, it's a fluke. It's an anomaly. It's not the norm. And it's like, of course it's not a fluke. You just don't make enough of them to realize it could be a trend, right? So
yeah, you don't make enough.
So now we're seeing, I mean, in the last group of awards, we've been seeing in television as well, Jean Smart, who is in Hacks, just winning award
She's
after awards.
hilarious.
What is she? She's in her
Yes.
70s. And
She's in her, yeah.
she's incredible and so freaking talented. And her character is not this, there's no tropes about that character written as an old
Mm-mm.
lady. She ain't written as and she's not, because she isn't. This is a vibrant, wonderful character with just
The
sexuality.
mouth of a sailor.
Yeah, and humor and sexuality and
Yeah.
vibrancy. And then, Jennifer Coolidge in White Lotus, also in her
Oh my
60s, coming
God.
back
I
and winning
know.
awards. And, you know, look at the nominations. Angela Bassett in Wakanda
Mm-hmm.
Forever in her 60s. Hello, Viola Davis leading the Woman King and,
Mm-hmm.
getting nominated, and Michelle Yeoh, Jamie Lee Curtis, and guess what? They all made money. They're all
That's right.
they're making money. They're getting recognition. They have an audience, and
Mm-hmm.
they're finally, I think, maybe we hope, dispelling the myths that women lose their value as they age, and nobody wants to see their stories.
Exactly.
I mean,
Exactly.
one of the most successful first series on Netflix was Grace and Frankie. They were in their
Mm-hmm.
80s.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you know, you know. So I think we're starting to see some trends, and I think they're becoming a little more brave um, in taking some risks,
Yes.
wondering if there's an audience. And thankfully, there are also becoming more. I mean, the Daniels are not who you would imagine would have written this story.
No.
They're
No.
young
Mm-hmm.
actors who, writers and directors who took a risk, and that would not have happened at one time. So,
But that's exactly it. It wouldn't have happened at one time, but I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to pretend that I know what was in their head or anything, but they just sat down and they're like, we're just going to do what we want to do.
mm-hmm.
We're going to write what we want to write. And how amazing is that? It's not formulated or anything like that. And there was one thing I wanted to call out that I didn't pay attention to the first time I watched it, but there are nuances of the Matrix in there.
Oh yeah.
I mean, if I didn't think about it until last night. I mean, when she's doing this and then she becomes, this powerful martial arts with her pinky,
Yeah.
with her pinkies and stuff like that. It's like, it reminded me of Carrie Moss having the, how to fly a helicopter, downloaded to her brain and stuff. So I was like, so then I saw that aspect and I was like, oh, I love this. I love this. It's like, it just got even more exciting every time.
Oh, absolutely. And, I just want to give them a shout out in so many ways that they wrote this creative, multiverse, sci-fi, crazy action
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
adventure. But two of the most, well, but three of the main characters are not kids. And they didn't seem to be hung up on that. They did. I mean, and James Hong, for God's sakes, he's in his 90s, who
He's
plays
in
the
his
dad, and
90s.
he's doing
Yes.
action stuff and being an important character in it. So they didn't get hung up on the generations of the age and assign some false narrative about whether or not they could handle it or could carry the film or would be interesting as the protagonists. And I am so excited that two young filmmakers did
Mm-hmm.
that.
Well, and they weren't paying attention to age. They weren't paying attention to the leads being women. They made it a story about a family
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't dysfunctional, but slightly broken
Mm-hmm.
because they they couldn't communicate
Yeah.
in the right way. But then at the heart of all of that, it was the mother and daughter.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's just amazing.
Yeah.
It was so fun to watch a second time. And I was watching it because I was not alone, you know. I mean, I was alone. The boys weren't here, but I was watching it, and every time I would start cracking up because of Jamie Lee Curtis, I would go back and watch it again just so that I caught the dialogue, you know, because I was too busy laughing at her, you know, jumping around or stapling the paper to her head or something like that. And it's like, I really, what's the word? I dissected it last night.
Yeah.
You know, I watched it again last night so that I would be fresh, obviously, but I really dissected it, and I just kept going backwards sometimes because I couldn't stop laughing.
Well, and then you have those other little roller coasters where now it's, you know, tugging at every heartstring and you're, you know, all choked up and you're like, you thought this was going to be this goofy, silly, laughing, just so ridiculous. And then by the end, you're like, you know, it just hooked you in and you didn't, you know, you're on, you know, you're all choked up and you're crying and you're like, what is happening? And I'm like, wow, that is exceptional good writing, but the performances of the entire cast really took us on that roller coaster, and they committed, and they all had to play such vast different types of characters throughout. So it's exciting to me to see the recognition, because when you really look at the complexity of each of those main characters' roles and the differences and the nuances and the different takes that they had to just on a dime, you know, change their head, and now they were somebody else.
And they were somebody else.
Yeah, it was. I'm from the performance things. I'm really excited that it didn't get lost as this little indie film and nobody recognized the work, because the work was pretty exceptional, really exceptional.
I agree, absolutely.
So,
I agree.
Anyway, well, I hope for anybody, I don't think we talked too much about it, so we didn't have a lot of spoilers in it, and I'll probably have to, you know what, at this point, if you haven't seen it, go watch it.
Go watch it. Yeah. I mean, you're missing out if you haven't seen it yet.
And we haven't touched on half the stuff that's happening on it. And just go in with an open heart and an open mind and have fun and go for the ride, because it is a ride. It is absolutely one hell of a ride.
And I will say, in the SAG Award speech that Jamie Lee won, when she said, yeah, I'm a Nepo baby, it's like, yeah, so what? She earned what she has. I mean, so what that she was born to two parents that were actors and stuff. It's like, she's earned what she has. So
she's good at her craft.
She's amazing at her craft. And I'm so tired of people saying you're only there because of your parents. It's like, she earned it.
Right. And
she has earned this.
Right. And she couldn't have sustained the length of her career if she didn't have the chops to back it up.
If she couldn't have done it. No.
She has the chops to back it up, which is the other reason why I'm like, hello, Hollywood creative people, would you please start writing more roles and characters for these complex women and men? But the men are getting the roles, but statistically, you're not writing for the women, and they are exceptional at their craft right now. They're going to deliver for you. Give them the opportunity to show you what they still are more than capable of doing. And they didn't lose value. They didn't lose vitality. They didn't lose the ability to engage a young audience, because the biggest audience in this are young audience viewers. And I think the older viewers are coming around to it more than at first, because they probably didn't seek it out to begin with, but the younger people did.
Menopause makes you stronger. You just don't care anymore. You don't care what other people think. You're just like, here I am, baby, you know, and you're going to give it everything.
And you're going to dive in and have fun. So so bravo to the creative team, bravo to the producers and the people who funded it and took a risk. And let's do more. Let's definitely see more of Michelle Yeoh and Jamie Lee Curtis. And I don't care what you put them in, just put them in together again, because they're hilarious.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I know, you know me, I'll be watching the Oscars and I will be crying.
Oh, right, there with you.
When they win, I'll be crying, because I'm just going to be just so excited for them. So.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, it's really interesting when you think of the other nominees. Most of the nominees this year, with a few exceptions, are in their 50s and 60s, and they're rocking it. And
they're all strong.
And they're all strong. And they're amazing.
Absolutely.
And they're carrying these films, and they're making money. So that's what everybody thinks can't happen. And Kel Surprise, Women King did, Wakanda Forever did,
Oh my God,
everything at once, made a lot of money.
Yes.
Well, Tom Cruise, he's still in his 60s and doing it. And so are his female peers, and they all made money.
That's right.
So
that's right. Absolutely. We all need to go out and get googly eyes.
Yeah.
And wear our little googly eyes.
We really do. We really do. Anyway, well, thank you for coming back. It was fun having you back. There's a bunch more that I'm going to be doing episodes, and you've already mentioned a couple of them. So I hope.
Well, I better be included in those.
Oh yeah, well,
for sure. On the Woman King. Oh my God,
right?
That blew my mind.
Oh my God,
that was amazing.
Yeah, that there's don't even know where to begin on the performance.
The strength. I know, but the physical strength. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah, there's a whole backstory on that, which I know a little bit about. Which when we do that episode, we'll tell you about it. Because
absolutely,
holy smoke, and amazing director. Hello. So yeah, it's just it's exciting to see. When I started this podcast where we were a year ago, these films weren't there yet. And what has just transpired in this last year, since 2022, it's very exciting. So it's a good time.
It is very exciting.
It's a good time.
I agree.
All right. Well, thanks for being here. We'll see you again.
Of course.
Have fun in Santa Cruz.
I will.
I'm
definitely.
sure you're ready for the weather to warm up.
Yes, I'm ready. I am definitely
Although we need
ready.
the rain. We're not going to be complaining about rain in California, but warmth would be nice.
No, the warmth would be nice.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
There's More to Our Story podcast was created by and is produced by me, Alisa Gallagher, your host. Theme music is by Andy Littlewood.